People produce products and services that have to fulfill certain expectations and need to be as safe and durable as specified. This is why traditionally the epistemology applied in trades education is inherently objectivist, because the end goal is to learn the skills the correct way. The learning theories that are usually applied are behaviorism and cognitivism. Traditionally, theoretical knowledge in trades education is taught in lectures and rote learning from textbooks, while the practical part of trades training is more constructivist in nature. In the practical application of trades, we must adjust to constantly changing circumstances and challenges. The example that comes to mind is the safety education every trade student has to go through before being allowed to work in the shops. I taught this section in our Women in Trades class about a year ago. The main part of these safety weeks is taught in asynchronous lectures on Zoom, because the goal of the course section is to keep everyone safe by following college and work-safe regulations. The epistemology is strictly objectivist. The theories of learning used are mainly cognitivism and behaviorism. I used formative assessments mainly in form of online quizzes on Moodle. Safety weeks are usually hated by most students because rather than the hands-on education they expect, we subject them to over a week of theory and learning. I have discovered that too few students remember these lessons once we get to the shop. I'm working on replacing some lessons with activities that are more based on constructivism and connectivism. Fortunately, we are also seeing an increase in Indigenous students in our programs, so I'm especially keen on thinking of ways to build in more Indigenous principles of learning. Learning about learning theories and epistemologies has motivated me to design future core classes with more variety in mind. Especially the mentioned safety weeks would benefit from more variety in learning methods. One example for applying more experimental learning theory is a project I introduced where students are asked to measure the noise level around their home or workplace using a free phone app. The app lets students take a picture with the decibel level superimposed, so they can present their findings to the group. My students were excited to learn about noises in their surroundings and the impact these noises could have on their hearing. The results of this exercise are encouraging, and I'm looking for more ways to give my students the opportunity to learn more elements this way. In the PIDP 3340 Collaborative Learning in the Classroom course, I presented a way to replace the self-study time our students have with group work based on online group projects in Moodle and weekly presentations to the class. Now that I read Dr. Bates's chapter on online collaborative learning, I have a much improved background in making these group work sessions successful. Given the fact that we see more Indigenous students in our classes, I would like to find more ways of utilizing Indigenous principles of learning into my teaching. Our current apprenticeship systems in Canada are Eurocentric adaptations of traditions with origins that reach as far back as the creation of the guilds in the 12th century. An interesting parallel is that Indigenous learning cultures' skills are often transferred by apprentices, so to speak, working along elders that teach their methods in an organic way. The realization of this parallel helps me when I teach hand-on techniques in the workshop. I am intrigued by the idea of connecting knowledge to a place as described in the examples used in the text by the group of Indigenous scholars called Pulling Together, a guide for curriculum developers. I am thinking of ways to connect the theory gained to places. I think this would be really beneficial to both Indigenous and non-Indigenous students.